The Hosen settled in Pandaria during the Age of 100 Kings 15,000 years ago, which was the age when the Mogu began fighting amongst themselves after being afflicted by the curse of flesh. Throughout their history, the Hosen were never united amongst themselves, with the exception of the reign of the Monkey King. 10,000 years ago, the Hosen who would become the Monkey King gradually united all of the tribes by simply telling the members of each tribe that their leader had accepted him as king. The leaders then, faced with someone universally acknowledged by the people of their tribe, did not challenge him. The Monkey King's authority was further strengthened after he unintentionally impressed Yulon, the Jade Serpent, with his cleverness and patience in a riddle contest, who then granted him the staff Fuzan, the Wanderer's Companion. Interestingly enough, aside from the reign of the Monkey King, there are also two separate occasions where the Hosen have been stated to have acted as a unified whole instead of as individual tribes. The first was during Lei Shen's conquest of Pandaria, when the Hosen at first agreed to fight alongside the Jinyu against the warlord, only to later surrender to him. The second was during the Pandaran Revolution, when the Hosen assisted them by digging tunnels circumventing Mogu defenses. With the recent return of the Monkey King, it's not entirely clear whether he once again united the Hosen under his rule. The Hosen are a very passionate, territorial, and at times aggressive race, at least when compared to the other, as the Pandaren termed them, speaking ones. They are also very short-lived. Most of their leaders are around 14 or 15 years old, while very few of their elders pass the age of 20, which is how the Pandaren explain the Hosen's relative immaturity. Due to their impulsive nature, Hosen tribes also have a tendency to grow so large that they inevitably collapse into multiple smaller groups. Following the Sundering, as Pandaria was left without emperors after Emperor Shaohao's sacrifice, many small groups attempted to conquer the land, ranging from Mogu warlords, fringe Hosen tribes, or Yongo raiders. All of them failed, however, and they are little known in Pandaren history thanks to the efforts of the Monkey King. Each time such a threat emerged, the Monkey King would approach them, impress them with his ability to avoid every hit, and promise to lead them to hidden caches of artifacts. Instead, the Hosen would lead them off of cliffs or into Shado-Pan ambushes. This is also how the Monkey King wound up frozen in jade until recent times. At one point, he accidentally led a Mogu, named the Jade Warlord, to an actual cache of knowledge left behind by the Thunder King. Seeing the threat, the Monkey King then fought the Warlord until the latter, not fully in control of his new power, accidentally froze them both in jade. Despite their chaotic and at times violent nature, individual Hosen are not discriminated against in Pandaren society. Plenty of Hosen, sometimes much to their own surprise, have found their way into various Pandaren organizations, such as the Golden Lotus or the Tian Monastery monks, at times even assuming leadership roles. Before the Sundering, during the time of the Pandaren Empire, there was even a Hosen emperor, Emperor Riktik, though his reign is remembered only for an epidemic which swept through the Valley of the Four Winds at the time. The Hosen of Kun-Lai summit are unusually aggressive even when compared with others of their kind due to the scarcity of resources in the area. Often, during hard times, the Hosen would declare a ravage on nearby settlements, where every single Hosen attacks in a massive swarm, which ensures that they either acquire the food they need, or lose enough of their number to ensure that their current supplies are sufficient. The Shado-Pan and the Grummels of Kun-Lai summit usually keep the Hosen in check through food tributes and, for the former, intimidation, though this does not always succeed as seen recently. Hosen who prove themselves are given the right to be called a name, such as Ook Ook, Ken Ken, or Yip Yip. In order to gain such an honor, the Hosen has to be a good Grooker, which seems to mean to be a good killer or fighter. Oddly enough, this is not consistently respected in the game, as certain Hosen chieftains do not have a name, such as the Ook of Duke of the Uken tribe, Lord Una of the Una tribe, or Chief Gukgut of the Slingtail tribe. In addition to the more well-known types of Hosen, the Monkey King in Mists of Pandaria also mentions the existence of Sky Hosen, which he does not elaborate upon. However, at the Hosen Throne Tavern in Zuldazar, he is accompanied by two Hosen with wings, Ginger Ginger and Flap Flap. When asked about them, the Monkey King simply states, "There are many secrets, both mysterious and divine, you have yours and I have mine." However, Flap Flap also mentions that his wings are new, implying that these Sky Hosen are not exactly a natural extension of the race. As is typical of their nature, the Hosen do not care for the bodies of their dead, usually leaving them wherever they may be, even in their own villages. The only known exception to this rule was Emperor Riktik of Pandaria, who, by virtue of his position, was buried in a tomb in the Valley of the Four Winds, albeit a rather small one and containing very few valuables when compared to other imperial tombs. The Hosen seem to care so little for the bodies of their deceased that the Jinyu of the Jade Forest, who use Hosen skulls in their ceremonial rites, are often able to collect ancient skulls from their villages, which are described as more magically potent. The Hosen are known to write down their wisdom on scrolls and parchments in a form known as haipu, containing 3 short phrases or lines of text. These are obviously of questionable value to other races. For example, quote, "Art of Hosen Fu, grab, stab and uken bite it, repeat until win." Or, quote, "Coco sniff finger, it uken stank of duke, will not sniff again." End quote. On the Wandering Isle, the local Hosen have also recently defaced some Pandaren scrolls with their own wisdom, though not in a haipu form. For instance, quote, "Wet fur not fun to sleep on," or, quote, "Don't roll in own poo unless want to smell like poo all day," end quote. It's probable that, like the ones on the Wandering Isle, the Hosen of Pandaria also write their respective wisdom on stolen Pandaren scrolls, since frankly, they don't really seem capable of producing their own.